It's the one and only King Cal 516 live in the mix, and this is the Switch Flame podcast. So, we got information that was blasted all over online. Some of you guys might have already seen it. Ben Simmons has been suspended by the Philadelphia 76ers. This thing is just going crazy, man. I cannot believe Ben Simmons gets suspended. It's obvious Ben Simmons wants out. It's obvious he's not trying to reconcile anything. And I think the Philadelphia 76ers have made a big mistake by not getting off of Ben Simmons before the season started. But this is going to be a headache. And to me, I will always say, if you're a championship contending team or you want to be a contender, you want the least amount of distractions heading into a season. And this Philadelphia 76ers management has not afforded the team that. This is definitely becoming a distraction. So I'm going to read the reports coming from Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. So I'm just looking at his Twitter. So right now it says, ahead of getting thrown out by 76 practice, Ben Simmons declined several times to sub into a drill. Sources tell ESPN. Simmons was tossed early in practice, essentially for a refusal to participate in the next stage of the session. Okay. Doc Rivers. This is a quote by Doc Rivers. Because obviously the coaches and some of the players were interviewed afterwards. Doc Rivers, and this is a quote by him. I thought he was a distraction today. I didn't think he was. I didn't think he wanted to do what everyone else was doing. That's according to Doc Rivers. I remember hearing Joel Embiid, basically reference that, they're not here to babysit. So this thing with Ben Simmons is definitely getting ugly. Let's dive into some of the money aspects of this. So ESPN sources, the 76ers have fined Ben Simmons $1.4 million for his absence from 4 preseason games, $360,000 each, and levy numerous team fines for missed practices, on-court workouts, and meetings. He hasn't earned any money since returning to the team on October 11th. Sixers' approach on a trade has remained steadfast. They won't move Simmons for role players, only player who will keep them a championship contender, and that hasn't changed for now. No one should expect a speedy resolution on Simmons' future in Philadelphia, and that is part of the big problem. This Ben Simmons thing is probably going to go all the way to the trade deadline when more teams are willing to come up off of players. But if you're Philadelphia, that means you're probably going to spend a good chunk of the season with this problem, with this issue of Ben Simmons, who wants out. And obviously he's willing to make known and willing to do things to make sure they understand that he wants out. So how long will the Philadelphia 76ers deal with this headache? I guess part of them are, as far as management, looks like they are content with just keep levying these fines. But from a team's sake, how much is trying to hold off for the best deal worth disrupting your locker room in a season where it's still Joel Embiid's prime? Do you want to waste a season of Joel Embiid's prime? If you're Philadelphia 76ers, I don't think any year of Joel Embiid's prime can go to waste. This is a guy that does not play, a lot of games per year. He gets injured a lot. And so every year you want to maximize as much as possible Joel Embiid. And so this is not a good look for the Sixers. Obviously, some of the blame will go on Ben Simmons, but I'm not going to exempt the 76ers from none of the blame, because the situation of how it ended last season, when you try to make resolutions early on and you weren't able to, that's when you should have definitely at that time levied a trade and just get this situation situated. I get that your hosts are on Dame Lillard, your hosts might have been on Bradley Beal, but those guys haven't axed out. And honestly, with those two gentlemen, I am not banking on those two guys axing out this season. That's just my opinion. But here's the thing. We do not know what superstar player might get disgruntled and might be willing to move come trade deadline or try to push for that. So it is always possible a star player might become available. But once again, if you're the 76ers, how long do you want this distraction? You know what I'm saying? Ben Simmons is not looking to play ball in the sense of trying to be a team player right now. Ben Simmons is just trying not to lose all his money that the Sixers owe him. And so we know part of the reason he's shown up to Sixers camp was because of how high they were fining him. He ain't trying to lose all that money. But obviously things aren't right. And the Sixers have their hands full. So we'll see what ends up happening. But once again, Ben Simmons now has been suspended from the season opener against the New Orleans Pelicans. All right. So far he's suspended one game. We'll see if this goes any deeper. We'll see if this gets any crazier. But right now, I mean, if you're a Sixers fan, you got to be pushing for your team to just get this, just offload this. And I totally respect the fact that they don't want to just get rid of Ben Simmons for a role player. But you know what I'm saying? You know, if you can get an all-star caliber player, a player that has the ability to potentially be an all-star, even if they haven't been all-star yet, I mean, I think that's good enough with some picks and a role player too in that deal and get Ben Simmons that way. Um, you know what I mean? But this situation right now is getting ugly, and I just look and I just sit there and say, when you look at championship teams, like I'm going to give you contenders. Look at the Bucks. We all know the Bucks are on the same page. The Lakers have a lot of new players, but when you listen to the Lakers players when they're interviewing, you can see they're all on the same page. You know, the Lakers give a team message of we're going to have to sacrifice this season, you know, to figure things out. You know what I mean? It's very important. Chemistry in the locker room is very important that everybody's on the same page. One player not being on the same page can ruin the whole locker room. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's a big deal, in my opinion. And so Sixers management, you know, needs to figure something out here before it gets worse. But anyway, once again, Ben Simmons has been suspended for um, play detrimental to the team. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's your boy King Cat 516 signing off. This has been the Swiss Fans Podcast, y'all. Peace.